It's Shannon.
Hello, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon Live.
It's
It's
Shannon.
crazy because you don't know how it's going to turn out.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
My kids empowered me to get out.
What's going on with this remote learning and in the midst of COVID?
Working for different elected officials, learning and understanding how to put your community first.
Hello, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am so happy to have my guests joining me because we're talking about reinventing our minds, how to change ourselves to be a better person. And I'd like to introduce my guest at this point, Miss Patricia D. Fraser. Ms. Fraser has been practicing social work in New York State for over 35 years. She holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree in sociology from Brooklyn College, my alma mater, and master's degree in social work from Fordham University. She is presently a licensed clinical social worker in New York State. Ms. Fraser has a list of experiences, including directorship at a community-based family planning clinic in Brooklyn, a medical social worker, pediatrics ER at Kings County Hospital, a private practitioner in Long Island and Brooklyn Heights, and a social worker for the New York City Department of Education. Ms. Fraser is presently chairperson of the program committee on the executive board of the Dream Foundation. So help me welcome her to the show. Hello there, Patricia. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm good, thank you. Great to be here.
Well, thank you for coming on tonight. It's right on time because, we were supposed to be talking about, which we still will be reinventing our minds to make us a better person, how we're going to be the best me. But before we get into all of that, first, I'd like for us to give our condolences to the Wells family for their son, Tyree Nicholson, because I mean, to me, it falls right into what we was going to talk about tonight with your mindset. I don't understand what this mindset is because there needs to be some therapy going on here.
Indeed.
That these officers would want to do such a heinous thing to another man, in particular somebody looking like you, because I can say that because
Mhm.
it's so devastating. I tell you, it was like I was just hurt to my heart. It's like it's my son, it's my child that somebody would do something like that too. And you don't even be thinking about that at imagine that. Like how many times do we have to go through this?
Yeah, too many. It's too many. And Tyree Nichols' mom even said that those officers just brought shame not only to themselves and the department, but to their families and to their communities. So it's just really, it's hard to watch. It's bad enough when it's another group doing this to us, but to see our own doing it to us, it's devastating, and it just really leaves you in a position of trying to figure out, what could have been going on here. Um, we don't really know what motivates someone to become a police officer or even to choose whatever career they choose. We don't really know what motivated those officers to do what they did to Tyree Nichols. Um, a lot of people are saying things like, it's the herd mentality, which is when people get influenced by their peers and not even think about the act that they're doing to someone else. They're just sort of following suit. You're doing it, I'm doing it too. Some say it's the culture of the police department, which is just historical. They attack black and brown people with impunity. They don't. It's almost as if they feel this is what they're charged to do. So, what caused it? Why they did it? There's a lot of different things going around, whether it's personal or not. It's heinous and it's wrong, and it's really it's a scary thing
I
to
think
see.
it's going to come out later. I think it's going to come out later that we're going to find out this could have been something personal,
It's very
because
possible.
yeah, because when they stopped him, normally when you stop, when they come up to you to the window and stuff like that, they tell you why they stop you. Then they ask you for your license and registration and all that kind of stuff. None of this happened. So
Nothing.
if you stop at him, why you didn't ask them all of this kind of stuff and stuff like that? Normally
Exactly.
they tell you to, if they think something, they'll tell you to get out of the car. They'll tell you
Right.
to get out of the car. They don't just reach over and start snatching you out of the car and stuff like that. That's why there's more to this story than what we are seeing, and I'm pretty sure it's going to come out later because this sounds like almost like this was a personal thing that he was targeted. That he
Yeah.
was targeted. That's the way it's looking, like he was targeted or something.
It looked like a
And I'm sure it
carjacking.
will because yeah, and then the sad thing about this kind of stuff is that all police officers are not like that. You got good police officers on the force that really care about what they do, their job, their community, they're helpful and stuff like that. It's just those bad apples in there that need to be dealt with. And since they haven't been dealt with in the past because of this blue code or whatever it is that they need to get rid of, and I'm hoping now with something like this between George Floyd that happened in him and now this, that they'll get rid of that, and the other officers will step up and don't and say, look, I'm not going along with this. I'm
Hmm.
not going along with you hurting somebody or killing somebody or something like that, because we talking about changing our mindset, because that's what I really wanted to talk about for the new year, because I had said, well, you know what, 2022, it was just so much going on. I mean, too much stuff was happening. Like, let's change our mindset of how we
Hmm.
think, how we do things, how we treat people. Let's talk about how we can be a better person. Who's the best me? How can we become the best me? And then we
Absolutely.
and then we're gonna start the new year off with something like this. So
I
my thing
know.
is, what is in their mindset? What kind of mental something going through your mind that will make you want to think of stuff like this? And I think they need to just do more therapy. They need ongoing therapy for these people.
Definitely. They need
They
to have just like you get an annual physical, you need to get your annual psychological testing done to find out just what you're thinking, even some kind of sensitivity towards the community that you're serving. We didn't see it in this one. They look like us, but overall, because I think if they see, okay, well, that group did it, so I can do it too. And some people are saying that until you start hitting them, I mean, there's been some reform since George Floyd, not enough,
just
but they're talking about doing away with qualified immunity, which is basically whenever something happens, whenever there's a civil suit, the taxpayers pay for it. But
right,
if the police officers have to pay for a lawsuit like this one, and they know it's not just going to affect them,
exactly,
it's going to affect their families, then
right,
maybe they'll think twice. Because I think
right,
some of these ways of thinking is so ingrained for generations that to get them to shift, especially with some of what's going on in the political climate, is going to
hmm
be hard. I don't even
right,
know if it's doable. So maybe
right.
if you hit the pockets, you know,
Exactly. You're
maybe,
absolutely right.
yeah,
You're
maybe we
absolutely
can
right.
get some kind of
You know,
change because it's
because
hard.
when
I
they
mean,
say, okay, they always say, but they need more training. No,
mm,
they don't need more training. They have already been trained. Because first of all, you get your training on the job. You
true.
go to training at the beginning of the job, but they'll show you, just like when you go to your own, get a new job or whatever, they show you a little bit of what you're supposed to do. But really, you learn on the job.
On the
And if you
job.
have that type of mindset, the mindset that they have, they are learning on the job, but you learning how to treat people because you're supposed to know how to treat people before you went to the police department.
Absolutely.
So it has nothing to do with that. And that's what anyone that has this type of mindset, not even with the police now, talking about, I have to stop talking about them because, my blood pressure might go up or something. I'm telling you, I'm just devastated. I'm really devastated. I
Yeah.
think this hit me harder than George Floyd, really. I'm
Wow.
telling you, because I mean, I'm just like, what is going on with people's mind?
Yeah.
How can we change ourselves to be a better person if we got this much meanness in
And
us and
anger and
evilness in us
hatred.
that we
Yeah.
want to hurt another person?
I think what's hard about this one too, Shannon, is the fact that we're always calling for having like more representation in the community. Give us police officers that look like us, because then they'll understand. They might even know the kid, and it's like so and so go
No,
home.
no, they don't
But now
understand.
we
They worse
have
than some of the
that.
other ones. They
Yeah,
worse
we
than some
have
of the other
that,
ones.
and it didn't change in this
Mm-mm,
situation.
mm-mm.
So it really is just it's a sadness. And I know
Because it
myself.
really, Pat, it really shouldn't be because they look like us, or that's why they should be in the community. To me, it doesn't matter which one is in the community. What it is that they need to know how to treat people. How would you treat your family? How do you treat your brother or your sister or your uncle? What is this? How you treat them? So you're supposed to treat people you meet just like you don't want to treat your own family or friends or what like. Why should I treat my family and friends one way, and then when I get out there with strangers, I treat them another way?
Well, ideally, that would be good if this is what people did, but it doesn't always work out that way,
Exactly.
and I think,
Exactly.
as I was saying with someone looking like us, it just creates like a kind of hopeless feeling if, like, wow, we thought this was like a one group on us situation, but now we're seeing that it's more of a culture, just like the culture of the police department and what they're told to do. One of the reporters on one of the stations, I think it was MSNBC, was saying that in Memphis, there's like an invisible line that the police officers know that when they go to one side of town, they go there to enforce and to deter crime. But
Right.
when they go to another side of town, it's to serve and protect. So the
Exactly.
mindset that they even go out with in different communities is very different.
Hmm.
So I'm hopeful, I'm prayerful. Something has to change because as a mother and a grandmother, with black males, not that it doesn't happen to females as well, when your grandchild or your son goes out, you worry a little bit, because it's
Hmm.
not about having the talk anymore. You have the talk, they comply. And in this particular case, it didn't make a difference.
We're gonna take a quick break, Pat. We're gonna come back
Okay.
and talk about some of the issues that goes on in our community when it comes to mental health and the mentality of
Okay.
people. We'll be back. We'll be right back.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad? Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Hi, if you're just
Hey.
joining us, my special guest tonight is Patricia Fraser, and we was talking about reinventing our mindset and how we change ourselves. But we did have to touch on the part about what the incident had just happened with the police. But Pat, let's talk about some of the issues in the community when it comes to people, needing therapy for mental issues that they might be having, and what we could do about it.
Okay. So my title, my training is as a psychotherapist, a licensed clinical social worker. And psychotherapy, I guess in the simplest form, is just talk therapy. And it's giving an individual tools to help them better know themselves and also to have better interpersonal relationships. Because at the end of the day, it's all about relationships, whether it's between friends or husband and wife or siblings, it's about relationships. So, what the research is finding is that there's a large degree of stress that we undergo as Black people, people of color. And it can either be acute, which is short term, like what we saw happen with COVID. You know, people were isolated, you were losing your job. There was a lot of domestic violence because people are now forced to be in a space that they weren't in before together. Or it can be chronic, which is just like generational stuff that just came from out of slavery and poverty and discrimination. So it begins to like have the community feel like almost helpless and hopeless, you know. And then you add stuff like mass incarceration and drugs and alcoholism to that, and it just makes for just, you know, a bad situation for us. Um, the statistics say that 25% of African Americans will seek mental health, while 40% of whites will seek mental health. And a lot of that is because we just don't trust the process. We don't trust the therapist. A lot of times, the first time that people are coming in contact with a social worker, it may be an incident in the school, you know, so now they're calling you up. Your kid came in and something didn't look right, so they want you to see the social worker. So it's a negative situation. So we begin to just look at the whole idea of therapy in a negative vein. When, as a family member, we see someone with it, we're afraid of the stigma that might be attached. Oh, something is wrong with her. Something is wrong with him. You know, why don't you just try to get over it? You know, you stop being so lazy, get out the bed, when this person could be suffering with depression. So we don't give ourselves permission to even seek the help and get the help that we need for whatever might be going on with us.
But what's the best way? What's the best way to handle a situation like that? Because say if you have, or you know someone, you have a relative, whatever, and you can see that they are going through you can see something is wrong, even though you don't know exactly what's wrong. But how do you work with them in getting them to be willing to go to see if something is wrong or to seek out help? You know, because like you say, they don't want no one to think, because you know how people think, oh, they crazy, you know, something like
it's
that.
It's not like we don't have enough stuff going on about being said about us, and then now I have this mental issue. It's very difficult to get them to go. Depending on what the mental illness is, it might go on for a long period of time before it starts to affect their day-to-day life. But you can, if you can't reason with them to go, like, you know, listen, you know, it'll make it better for you, then sometimes you really do have to go to the authorities. Sometimes you have to reach out. And most of the time, they will, if the person is not harming themselves or threatening to harm other people, you can have different types of agencies. They're out there that will go and just talk to them and say, listen, you know, your neighbor is concerned or your family is concerned. We'd like you to come in and, you know, and talk to someone. But if that doesn't work, sometimes you have to step it up. You have to, like, because you're doing it for their sake. You may have to petition the court to if it's a child, you know, to get, I think it's called a PINS, person in need of supervision, that sort of thing. So you may have to go to the authorities to get help for them, especially because it doesn't get better, unfortunately, especially if it's something organic, like, you know, like if it's psychosis or something, it's only going to get worse. You know, if it's depression, it only gets worse, because as they fall deeper into the depression, then they start masking it sometimes with drugs or alcohol or promiscuous behaviors, just things to sort of, because they're suffering. You know, that's the bottom line. You're suffering because you're dealing with them, but they're suffering because they're going through it, and, you know, they don't know how to deal with it.
So what would you say, like, okay, I know during the pandemic, a lot of people, you know, became depressed and, didn't socialize or, they didn't go out or whatever, but, now that we're getting back out there and stuff like that. But even without the pandemic, like, what would you say to people that they need to be doing at least something every day, to keep their mind going or not to allow themselves to go into that, depression,
Depression,
to keep from
and
even
have it
getting
just
to
get
that point.
worse.
Yeah, to keep
So
from that point.
okay, so you're referring to like what we would call self-care. Like what do
Mhm.
you do to prevent getting into that? And if someone comes to me and they're expressing that something feels a little off, the first thing that I recommend is that they get a medical checkup, that you see your doctor, because there are medical conditions that can resemble mental illness. You have this
Mhm.
very similar kind of symptoms. So we want to rule out that there's nothing going on, no diabetes, no heart disease, or anything even more chronic. Once you rule that out and it's not a medical reason, then there's suggestions that we can do, like get some rest, sleep schedule, because lack of sleep can create
Right.
stress and also adds to obesity. Because if you if you're getting up during the night, sometimes you're hungry.
Don't
And
talk about my 1 o'clock snacks in the morning.
I know about that. Me too.
Because I
So,
will get
you
up and
really
make me a snack. Okay.
um and so you want to do that. You want to try to eat healthy foods, cut back on the starches and the sugars, because they just add to everything. Um you want to get exercise. A lot of us really just like really, but it helps the mind, it helps the body. And just a personal experience that I'm even going through, I hurt my ankle during the Christmas break, so I couldn't keep up with my very small exercise regimen. So I discovered on YouTube chair exercises. You can actually sit in a chair and exercise, move your arms, move
I
your
know.
leg.
I do that on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Oh,
Yes.
there you
I
go.
didn't know I didn't know that either until someone told me. So I go on Mondays and Wednesdays. So we exercise in the chair.
Okay, yeah. So now I'm doing that at home because I can't do anything else.
Yes.
Walking is great, but if you can't walk, what are you going to do? You want to set aside some time to relax. Just give yourself a timeout, listen to some music, talk to someone on the phone that you want to talk to. You don't necessarily want to talk to that person that's going to bring you down, because we all have that friend.
Right. Right. Negative
Yeah,
people, negative. You definitely need
yeah,
to stay away from negative people and everything. But it's like Pat, when people say, "Oh, I'm so bored," they're always bored all the time, right? And I don't understand why you so bored, because there's something to do all the time. So
yeah.
I'm trying to get bored. That's what I'm trying to get bored.
Because you're
I don't
busy.
understand how you can be bored, because there's so much to do. Even if you're in the house, there's stuff to do in the house that keeps you busy.
Right.
That
I
you don't have
agree.
time to be getting bored and stuff like that.
I
So
agree.
I don't understand. Why people won't reach out and do more, because they could do more, to keep themselves together, and everything like that. I mean, as far as the eating, I mean, we know we eat too much. I mean, I can count to that. We eat too much or whatever. We don't exercise enough. I'm that, because I don't exercise enough or whatever, like
None
that.
of us.
And being hydrated, I know I don't get hydrated, but I know I don't
Drink
drink
enough
enough
water.
water
Yeah,
and stuff
water
like
is very
that. So
important.
there's things that you really don't do that you should do, you
And
know.
what you can do too, because you were talking about people being bored. Get involved with your church. Get involved
Oh,
with your
tell me, because
children's
they keep you busy.
school. Yeah, if your child, sometimes you have children, so it just seems like a luxury to go out and do these things. But they have a parents' room in the schools. They have they're always looking for volunteers in the school, and you
All
can
the
always
time.
find,
All the time.
organizations. Like I belong to the Dream Foundation. DeCosta Headley is the founder chairperson, and we are always trying to go out and just do things for the community, whether it's a clothing drive or something for Thanksgiving or a toy drive,
Right.
So there's
Right.
always something to get involved with. There's so many causes out there. We got involved with some students at Medgar Evers College that, they want to get their degrees, but they're struggling in life. So you try to help out in any way that you can. So, like you said, there is always something to do. You just have to
Because you
find
know what, Pat, when I think about when like we was talking about earlier with the officers and people like that do things like that, I think that's what happens when you don't keep that mind active on positive things, doing enough positive things and stuff like that. Because I think that's when the mind starts thinking about stuff that you shouldn't be doing. You understand what I'm saying? Like
absolutely.
if you don't keep positive thoughts, I mean, we all have negative thoughts at some point. I ain't gonna lie, I have them too. We talk about what I want to
We
do to
all
people.
are. It's
You
life.
know, that kind of stuff. But try to stay positive. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe you won't get to that point like they did or whatever, and other people that do things to other people and stuff like that. I think if you keep positive thoughts, you was more likely to be a more positive person. You can change yourself. You can be a better person.
Absolutely.
But we have to end. We have to end the
Okay.
show. Our time is up, Pat. So thank
Okay.
you so much for
My
coming on
pleasure. My
and
pleasure.
talking to us today about this, everything, because we're in trouble. All I can
Yeah.
say is
Yeah.
we're in trouble. So thank you for watching today. And, if you need to get some help, please get some help and, reach out to someone that you trust to come in. And if you have to go to a therapist, you go to a therapist because that's what you have to do.
Absolutely.
So thank you
Absolutely.
for joining us today. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Today's show is sponsored by Abu's Bakery. If you have a sweet tooth, stop by Abu's Bakery for some delicious cakes and pies.
Do you like beautiful pictures for your home or your office? Then stop by Space Box Gallery. They have a large selection of pictures from around the world.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon. It's Shannon. It's Shannon. It's Shannon. Keeping it real. It's Shannon. It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
Hi, Pat. We back for our after show, and at the beginning of our other show, we talked a little bit about people getting therapy when they need it, and some don't get it when they don't need it, or whatever. But there was some other points that you had wanted to share with us as
Yeah.
well. Um,
Yeah. So the other thing is, like, don't be afraid to say no, because we think we should be everything for everybody. And someone told me a long time ago, no is a complete sentence. No, I can't do it. No, I can't come. No, I'm not available, because we really have to start putting ourselves first. And somehow we're, especially women, we seem to think that's wrong. We're being selfish, everybody comes first. But you have to take care of yourself. On the plane, they tell you, listen, put your stuff on first, right? Before you start putting the stuff on the
Right.
kid, because you have to,
Right.
it's like, save yourself first. So learning how to say no is important. Decluttering your home. Sometimes just having too much stuff around, it can just really create a lot of just bad vibes. You can't find anything. That's frustrating. If you take something out for the summer, you put it away, take it out again and put it away. It's time to just give it to someone else. You're really not
Right.
getting, to
Exactly.
use it. So you can donate it or something.
And it makes you
Um,
feel so much better when you do that, you know.
you
I
do.
I did that I did that during the pandemic. I just went through everything and got rid of everything and just kept what I needed because I said I know when my eyes closed, my daughter just gonna back the truck up here and throw all my stuff out anyway. So I said, so I might as well go and get rid of it now.
At least you can choose, right?
At least this way they only have to get rid of the stuff that I'm using now. Because that's what happens. But that's why I was saying a lot of stuff makes you feel better,
Yes.
when you do stuff like that.
Absolutely. And also, just taking a break from technology, put your phone on silent, turn off the TV, and just give yourself 10 minutes without all of this stuff coming in, all of this distraction and things. So that just things that, you can calm your mind with, if you meditate, that's part of the exercise. That's something I've personally tried to do. I'm not very good at it. Um, I'd
And the,
start
and the breathing, the,
with the
that the
breathing.
breathing techniques when you sit down in the chair and just breathe in, out, and stuff. I mean, it's like amazing. I didn't know that until I started to doing that. When at the class and stuff, and
Yeah,
I said, wow, this
yeah,
this
like
is a whole
mindfulness.
different
Yeah,
mindset.
yeah, yeah.
It's like
I have to work. I have to work
clearing
on that.
It's
um,
like clearing your mind. I was trying to teach my granddaughter how to do it because she's so hyper and everything when she comes in from school. Like she said, she has a break before she has to do her homework. I said, well, you need to sit down and breathe in and
mm,
out, calm yourself down, and stuff like that. You'll feel much better and everything.
yeah, it works. It does work. And like I said, I personally have to work on that. And then what you want to do too is just celebrate your accomplishments. Sometimes we kind of get into our own head and feel like, oh, what have I done? What do I have? My life is going by. And if you really think about it, even if it's an award you got in the eighth grade, or you were a good runner, or something that you did that was positive, you want to celebrate that, because there's
Right,
there's good in all
right,
of us, you know
right.
um and bad, but you want to try to do things to make yourself feel better about yourself. So
Hmm.
sometimes you have to say it out loud. Okay, well, I'm a this and I did that, and so I'm not so bad, that sort of thing. So these are things that, just day-to-day self-care habits that can help us kind of clear our
Right.
mind. But if you've tried a lot of these things and you just can't seem to shake the feeling, then maybe it's time for you to seek
Yeah.
professional help.
Yeah.
And when you do seek a therapist, you want to find someone that you have a good fit with.
Right.
You might want to have someone Black or Asian or male or female, Latino, whatever. You have a right to your choice because you're paying for it. And
Right.
insurance companies usually have a log of which therapists are in network, meaning your insurance will pay for them. Some
Hmm.
therapists you have to pay out of pocket, and some still have what's called a sliding scale, which means you pay according to your income or what you can
Hmm.
afford to pay. So they're out there, and you can also do word of mouth. You'd be surprised who has a therapist. If you trust them enough to say, listen, I'm feeling a little way and I can't seem to shake it. Do you know of
Hmm.
someone I can talk to? And,
Right.
and they can direct you
And
somewhere.
I also think too now, I don't even think you necessarily have to wait till something is wrong with you or feel that's wrong with you. Sometimes I
Absolutely.
think maybe it may just be good just to have a therapy session anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because I
Absolutely.
think sometimes you have things deep inside that you don't even realize how deep it is because you don't really talk about it. and this way you can talk to someone else about it, and then stuff start coming out that you wouldn't probably even have said before. So I think we all need therapy. That's what I that's what I think.
Absolutely.
We all need therapy.
Absolutely. We
You
do.
know?
We all need someone to talk to, because that's basically all it is. Someone
Exactly.
to talk to. And you'd be surprised. And when you do have that therapist, sometimes you're not a good fit. So you may go to more than one therapist,
Well, even if you don't want to go to a professional therapy, even if you just have a good friend or someone that's a good listener, because most of the time what you're doing is venting anyway. You
That's
mostly
true.
you're
That's
venting.
true.
Yeah, so at least you just have someone to talk it out with, that you're not holding it inside of you, which builds up. And then that's why you start
Absolutely.
doing stuff that you're not supposed to be doing, because I think all of this stuff, it builds up in you, because then it turns into anger sometimes,
Hmm.
and stuff. Because like I said,
Anxiety, medical
even
conditions.
exactly, you have all
Yeah.
kind of ailments and stuff like that. Because like I say, even with people, like we was talking about the officers earlier, like something has to be going on inside of you for it to even have that kind of anger in you. When it started from someplace, it ain't just started that night.
Absolutely.
It didn't just start
Absolutely.
that night. This is something that had to be going on with you even before this,
That's right.
maybe in their private life or something like that. Something has to
Absolutely.
be going on, because you just don't walk around. I mean, there are some vicious people that walk around every day wanting to do
Hmm.
stuff, whatever, but most of us don't. Most of us
Hmm.
don't. And since there's so much going on and people is under so much pressure and stuff, that's why they really need to talk to people more than they normally, because they're under a lot of stress and pressure or whatever. But then I feel also you have to learn how to not be so stressed and not let people stress you out. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people are too easy to let people stress them out,
Hmm.
and you
That's
got
where
to.
some of these ideas come in. Like say no if you're not willing to go along with something. Say no. Put
Yeah,
yourself first and realize, okay, I have a bottom line and you're crossing it. So I'm gonna
exactly.
remove myself from this situation because it's just not working for me right now.
And let me tell you, it works, Pat, because when I say 22, I ain't bringing it into 23.
Hmm.
If I
Right.
have to, if I have to drop you, if I have to not be bothered with you, I don't
Uh-huh.
have no problem doing it, because I said I'm not carrying it over in a new year.
That's
And when
right.
you let that go, you feel so much better. And
Absolutely.
you don't really miss the people. You don't really miss them, because now
That's
you don't
right.
have to be bothered with their nonsense and them stressing you out or whatever. It's wonderful. It's
That's
wonderful.
right. That's right. I hear
This
you, Shannon. I agree.
Bishop Jakes always said, you have to purge.
That's
He
right.
said you got to purge your family, your friends, and anybody else. You have to purge. That's what
That's
you have to
right.
do.
Get rid
So
of the
I truly believe
negativity.
in that. Get rid of that, and then you don't have to be bothered at. Well,
That's
let me
right.
thank you again for coming on, joining, and talking to us. And I
My
had my
pleasure.
therapy session tonight. I may need to book another one.
All right. Anytime.
You have to come back. You do my second therapy, but I had my therapy tonight. So thank you so much for my free consultation.
You are welcome. You are welcome. My pleasure.
And we want to thank y'all for staying for the after show, and make sure you go and like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube. And look, if you need help, you feeling depressed, whatever, please go get some help. And please, let's pray for the Wells family and to all the other families that have been through this and stuff, because we don't know when it might be our day that we
Oh
might be
gosh.
going through
Yeah.
something like this. So we just have to keep each other in prayer, and we're gonna pray, for everybody. They think before they do something, that they don't have any right doing. So thank you
Yeah.
again for joining us, and thank you, Pat, again for coming on. And hope you'll come back again and
Okay.
talk with us some more. So thanks,
All right.
and as always, we'll see you next time.
Okay. Good.